Ross's knowledge of motorcycles and bicycles is second to none. Ross was influenced in the motorsport hobby by both his father and grandfather. Ross's grandfather licensed the 52nd car ever in Manitoba, a 1908 Buick McLaughlin. Ross's father had a 1951 Dodge and was a member of the Manitoba Classic and Antique Car Club, and Ross followed in his father's footsteps. As a young boy, Ross traveled with his salesman father throughout Manitoba and Saskatchewan, visiting old car museums and searching farmyards for old cars and motorcycles. In the 1960s, after watching Steve McQueen jump over the fence in The Great Escape, and then watching Easy Rider, Ross was hooked on motorcycles. Ross and his dad restored a 1910 Rio. In 1973, Ross joined the Manitoba Classic and Antique Car Club with a 1928 Chevy 4-cylinder. He later upgraded to a 1929 Chevy 6-cylinder, two-door coach, which he used as his wedding car in the 70s and still has today. In 1973, Ross also joined the Antique Motorcycle Club of America and has visited all 50 states at one time or another with his motorcycle. Upon meeting Burt Bentley in the Classic Car Club, he began a passion for motorcycles. He began riding old Harleys, Indians, and Triumphs in the 70s. His favorite everyday bike was a 1943 Canadian Army Harley. He has owned over 50 motorcycles in his lifetime and still has over 25 in his collection. In 1977, Ross joined the Canadian Vintage Motorcycle Club and became a member of the Keystone chapter. In 1977, with the help of friend Siggy Klon, started the Antique Motorcycle Club of Manitoba, now with 165 members, Canada's largest motorcycle club. He was president in 1977, 78, and 6 other times. All through the years, Ross was a member of the Antique Automobile Club of America, Lord Selkirk region. He has attended over 25 Antique Automobile Club of America national judge meets, attaining senior master judge status. In 1978, Ross assumed the role of activities chair for the Manitoba Classic and Antique Car Club, and with the help of his wife put on special events and was in charge of the Polo Park swapping. In the early 80s, Ross founded the Buffalo chapter of the Antique Motorcycle Club of America. In 1983, Ross was elected president of the Manitoba Classic and Antique Car Club and contacted every car club in Manitoba to attend a meeting in his basement to discuss the formation of one organization to represent all the clubs of Manitoba. In 1985, for the 25th anniversary of Manitoba Classic Car Club, he organized a special event to kick off the year's celebration. It was January the 1st and called the Frostbite Tour. Ross and his wife challenged members to participate with their classic cars, and they drove the 29 Chevy downtown. It was a frigid day, but keeping with Ross's Scottish heritage, he wore a kilt. Ross was a presidential advisor of the Manitoba Classic Car Club for many years and chaired the club's 50th anniversary in 2010. In the 80s, Ross's hobby became a family affair as his 2 sons were old enough to go on outings with them in a 1936 Harley with a sidecar. 1991, Ross chaired the first Antique Motorcycle Club of America national road run event ever held outside of the U.S., which was in Winnipeg and Manitoba area. It was a 3-day event of riding and historic entertaining with 100 motorcycles from 1910 to 1954. Ross's boys were 7 and 9 at the time and rode in the 1936 Harley sidecar and received the Youngest Rider Award. In 1997, Ross chaired the International Automobile Club of America judge meet in Winnipeg with over 200 cars registered. In 2005, Ross was part of the Thunder Road Racing Group supporting Hall of Famer Ted Hector on his Bonneville World Record trip with the 1938 Indian. He attended again in 2014 with Ted to race a 1948 Harley Davidson one last time. This bike still holds 5 world land speed records. Ross owns both historic motorcycles, and they are on display at Jim's Vintage Garage in Headingley. In 2010, the Antique Motorcycle Club of Manitoba absorbed the Manitoba Motorcycle Club, which was founded in 1911. Ross was president at the time and was proud to represent the Manitoba Motorcycle Club at its 2014 induction into the Canadian Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Ross is a lifetime member of the Manitoba Motorcycle Club, an honorary member of the Antique Motorcycle Club of Manitoba. In 2017, Ross started the Vincent Owners Club of Manitoba. In 2019, Ross was elected president of the Antique Motorcycle Club of America with 80 chapters throughout Europe, Australia, Canada, and the U.S., with over 18,000 members, one of the largest antique motorcycle clubs of its kind. Quite an accomplishment for a Canadian. Ross's most memorable moments in the hobby are racing at Bonneville, meeting and hanging out with Peter Fonda at the 100th anniversary of Harley Davidson in 2003, and starting the Antique Motorcycle Club of Manitoba. Ross currently has a 1963 Volvo P1800, his 1929 Chevy, and over 25 motorcycles, including a 19 Harley V-Twin, the second oldest Harley and one of only 8 in the world, which is upstairs in the Hall of Fame booth. Along with the other clubs, Ross is a member of the British Car Club of Manitoba, lifetime member of the Manitoba Historical Society, a board member of Jim's Garage. He also writes articles for the Antique Motorcycle Club magazine, the Vincent Owners Club, and the Headingley newspaper. Ross has a complete set of Manitoba license plates from 1908 to date. Ross just returned from the Antique Motorcycle Club of America's National Swap Meet in Daytona, where he was presented with his 50-year membership card at the banquet, and is the only standing president of the Antique Motorcycle Club to be a member for 50 years. He has been on the executive for 10 and president for the last 5. Ross is married to Chris and they have 2 sons. Corey married to Krista and their children, Charlie and Jake, and Tyler, his partner Megan, and they have 2 girls, Logan and Haley. With no thoughts of slowing down, and with his wife and sons involved, Ross is planning on attending the Motorcycle Cannonball Run in September, which covers 5,000 miles in 20 days from Virginia to Huntington Beach, California, on a 1921 Harley. Two of his bikes are on display upstairs in a Hall of Fame booth.
Like the other inductee said, what do you say after something like that? I have to thank the Hall of Fame committee. And somebody's telling me who nominated me for this thing, because I need to buy them a drink, I think, or kick him in the ass, one of the things. I'm happy that my family's here. Tyler and Logan are here, and Hallie and their mom. Tallie's sick at home, so she didn't want to spread germs. And Corey and Jake are here, my grandson and son. And my other grandson's in the CFL combine, trying to make it to the CFL this fall, so we're crossing our fingers for that. And as mentioned, his wife, Krista. You know what? You don't do this hobby unless you marry the right spouse. My wife, Chris, has been by my side the whole time. For 50 years, I've been a member of the Antique Motorcycle Clubs and old car clubs. And for the last 45 years, we've been married, and I've dragged her to every bloody corner of the earth, to 1%ers, billionaire collections, and she's there carrying parts in and out. And when we finished that 11 Harley that's upstairs, and it is the second oldest V-Twin in the world, she wouldn't let me leave it in the Cola garage. It had to come into the living room. So that's where we go back tomorrow night. Whenever I go in the world, they say, bring your wife, she should do a seminar for wives. They're probably right. I got to thank Ken Charlton and to Jeff McNaughton. They helped me bring all these bikes here today, and man, it's a feat getting in here to park, as they mentioned. Thanks to those guys. Thanks to Chris, as I said, like the family room, the whole thing. Corey and Tyler. Yeah, they were, you know, that 29 Chevy, when they were born, we went every year for 10 years to the car show in Grand Forks. A lot of the Lord's Helper guys will remember that. It was the AACA region down there. Corey was 2, Tyler was 11 days old. We wedged him in the backseat in a wicker basket, and all the grandmothers down there were horrified. But my wife was a nurse, and after 10 days you can travel, so we did. We wedged him in there, and away we went. 40 miles an hour all the way to Grand Forks for 10 straight years. Now it's a chore for me. I tremble when I drive to the Pony Corral. I hope I get home. So, I'm not that old. I joined 50 years ago, but I was 19. And I had a chopper, actually, for the motorcycle guys out there. A 28 Chevy and a BSA chopper. And I went to a car thing, and one of my old junior high teachers showed up and said, she scared the crap out of me, that lady. And she said, you should come to my husband's house and look at his old bikes. So I rode over there, and over comes Bert Bentley on Winchester Street with an ascot, tweed jacket, smoking a pipe. And I thought he was going to tell me to get lost, long-haired, creepy guy. And he said, oh, is that a PSA twin car? Lightning or Thunderbolt single car? Come on into the house. I hear you came to see some old bikes. There were 20 pre-1920 bikes in his basement on Winchester Street. I said, where do you get all the parts for these things? I joined the Anti-Motorcycle Club of America. I went home that night and mailed him $8 to a guy in Kansas who joined that club. And he sold that collection to a guy in Grand Forks. And I plucked out the 13 Indian. I said, I want to buy that bike. So he said, yeah, we'll do it. I offered a little more than the guy was offering for all 20. I've owned that bike for 50 years. It's in my basement right now. Probably be beside me by the art valve machine or something someday. I won't mention, the last thing I was going to mention, I got one more big adventure this year, and that's riding the cannonball from Virginia Beach to Huntington Beach. And I hope I'm around next year to see a lot of you guys and don't crash and die driving a 21 JD, 5,000 miles, as you said. But on behalf of everybody, especially my wife Chris, for being by my side all this time, thank you very much.